The night was cold and dark, with an unsettling stillness hanging in the air. Emily and her younger brother, Max, found themselves alone in their family home. Their parents had gone out for the evening, leaving them with a list of instructions and a warning to stay away from the basement. The siblings, however, were always drawn to mystery and adventure, and tonight was no exception. As they explored the house, Emily and Max stumbled upon a peculiar door in the corner of the living room. It was a door they had never seen before, a door that led to the basement. Confused and intrigued, they exchanged curious glances. The basement was never there before, and the sudden appearance of the door sent shivers down their spines. With trepidation, Emily reached for the doorknob. The metal felt cold in her hand, and the creaking sound that followed as she slowly opened the door added to the eerie atmosphere. A dim light emanated from below, casting long shadows on the narrow staircase. The siblings exchanged glances once again, uncertainty clouding their faces. Yet, a mysterious force seemed to beckon them forward. As they descended the staircase, the air grew heavier, and the temperature dropped. The basement seemed to stretch infinitely, with long, winding corridors and doors leading to unknown places. The siblings felt a growing sense of unease but pressed on, unable to resist the strange allure of the mysterious basement. They reached a large, cavernous room at the heart of the underground maze. The walls were lined with ancient symbols, and the air was thick with an otherworldly presence. In the center of the room stood an old, dusty mirror that seemed to reflect a distorted version of reality. Suddenly, the mirror began to ripple, distorting the reflections of Emily and Max. The room echoed with ghostly whispers, and the temperature plummeted. The siblings were trapped in a surreal nightmare. Images of their deepest fears manifested in the mirror, twisted, grotesque versions of themselves, tormenting them with chilling whispers. Emily and Max tried to turn away, but an unseen force held them captive, forcing them to confront their darkest fears. A voice echoed through the chamber, chilling them to the bone. "You have awakened the forgotten. Open the door to the abyss," it hissed. As the voice spoke, the basement began to shift and change, morphing into a nightmarish landscape. Shadows danced on the walls, and the air was filled with anguished wails. The siblings realized they had trespassed into a realm beyond their understanding, a place where the boundaries between reality and nightmare blurred. Desperation fueled their attempts to escape, but the labyrinthine corridors seemed to twist and turn, trapping them in an endless loop. The malevolent force that lingered in the basement fed on their fear, growing stronger with every passing moment. In the heart of the labyrinth, they found a door identical to the one they had entered. Exhausted and terrified, they hesitated before opening it, unsure of what awaited them on the other side. As the door creaked open, a blinding light enveloped them, and they were abruptly back in the living room. The basement door had vanished, leaving no trace of the nightmarish journey they had just endured. Emily and Max clung to each other, shaken by the harrowing experience. The house seemed normal again, but the memory of the mysterious basement and the horrors within lingered in their minds. From that night forward, the siblings lived with the haunting knowledge that some doors should never be opened, and some mysteries were better left untouched. The basement had disappeared, but its malevolent presence continued to cast a long, dark shadow over their lives, a reminder of the unknown terrors that lurked just beyond the surface of their reality. Days turned into weeks, and the memory of that fateful night began to fade, yet the scars on Emily and Max's souls remained. They tried to resume their normal lives, but a subtle unease lingered in the air whenever they found themselves near the spot where the mysterious basement door had materialized. As the weeks passed, peculiar occurrences unfolded in their home. Whispers echoed in the silence of the night, and shadows seemed to move on their own accord. Objects inexplicably shifted places, and cold drafts wafted through the halls, carrying with them an otherworldly chill. The siblings couldn't shake the feeling that something had followed them back from the abyss. One evening, as they sat in the living room, the temperature dropped again, and an unnatural darkness enveloped the space. The air became heavy with an ominous presence. Emily and Max exchanged fearful glances, realizing that the horrors from the basement were not confined to the depths below. The room echoed with the same haunting voice they had heard in the labyrinth. "You opened the door, and now you must face the consequences," it murmured. Suddenly, the mirror from the basement materialized before them, reflecting twisted versions of themselves. The malevolent entities in the mirror moved independently, mocking and tormenting the siblings. The distorted reflections whispered tales of doom and despair, revealing glimpses of a future filled with nightmares. Driven by fear and desperation, Emily and Max sought answers. They delved into old family records and discovered a long-forgotten tale of dark rituals conducted by their ancestors. It spoke of a cursed mirror that bridged the gap between worlds and the consequences of disturbing the ancient slumber that guarded the secrets of the abyss. Determined to break the curse, they embarked on a perilous journey to find a way to seal the malevolent forces that now plagued their lives. Guided by cryptic clues, they ventured into forgotten realms, encountering ancient spirits and facing trials that tested the strength of their resolve. As they reached the heart of the mystery, they discovered a ritual to bind the malevolent entities and close the rift they had inadvertently opened. The ritual required sacrifice and courage, and the siblings hesitated, knowing that the consequences of failure were too ghastly to fathom. In a climactic moment, surrounded by the shadows of the abyss, Emily and Max performed the ancient ritual. The room trembled as the mirror shattered, and an otherworldly force recoiled. The darkness lifted, and the oppressive atmosphere dissipated, leaving behind an eerie silence. The basement door reappeared, but this time, it remained firmly closed. The curse had been broken, and the siblings had successfully sealed the malevolent forces that had tormented them. They returned to the surface, exhausted but triumphant, their bond stronger than ever. However, the memory of that night and the horrors they faced lingered as a cautionary tale in the family's history. The basement door became a forbidden relic, a reminder that some secrets should remain buried, and some doors should never be opened, lest they unleash the darkness that lurks beyond. In the aftermath of their harrowing ordeal, Emily and Max sought solace in the normalcy of their lives. The whispers, shadows, and ominous presence that had plagued their home vanished, leaving them with a newfound appreciation for the ordinary. The scars on their souls began to heal, but the memory of the basement and the cursed mirror lingered as a haunting specter in their minds. Their parents returned, unaware of the supernatural events that had transpired. Life resumed its routine, but Emily and Max were forever changed. They shared a silent understanding, a bond forged in the crucible of the supernatural, a secret they dared not reveal to anyone. Years passed, and the mysterious basement door faded into the recesses of memory. The siblings grew into adulthood, each pursuing their own paths, but the shared experience remained an unspoken connection between them. They both avoided the topic, burying it in the depths of their subconscious, hoping that time would erase the scars left by the encounter with the unknown. However, the past has a way of resurfacing when least expected. On the anniversary of that haunting night, as Emily and Max found themselves once again in the familiar living room, an inexplicable chill crept into the air. The temperature dropped, and shadows danced across the walls. The basement door materialized, a ghostly echo from the past. Dread filled the room as the mirror reappeared, though now it was pristine and unbroken. The same haunting voice resonated. You thought you could escape, but the abyss is eternal. Panic set in as the malevolent entities returned, more powerful and vengeful than ever. Emily and Max realized that the seal they had placed was only a temporary reprieve. The curse demanded a toll, and the siblings found themselves once again entangled in a battle against the forces they had unleashed. With newfound determination, they delved into ancient lore, seeking a more permanent solution. The search led them to a forgotten ritual that required the ultimate sacrifice, a sacrifice of memories, of the very essence that made them human. It was a choice between oblivion and the perpetual torment of the abyss. Facing the grim reality, Emily and Max stood before the mirror, their reflections distorted by fear and resignation. As they performed the sacrificial ritual, memories slipped away, and their identities blurred. The room trembled, and the abyss recoiled, sated by the offering. When the shadows finally settled, the basement door vanished once again, leaving behind a sense of emptiness in the living room. Emily and Max, now devoid of the memories that bound them to the supernatural horrors, stood in silence. Their lives continued, but the past was a blank canvas. The siblings, forever changed, carried the weight of a forgotten tale, a tale of forbidden doors, cursed mirrors, and sacrifices made in the name of sealing the abyss. The memory of that night became a whisper in the wind, a fragment lost in the labyrinth of time, leaving only a lingering sense of something amiss, an unsettling void where once their shared memories had been.
Like, subscribe, and click on notifications that will allow you to stay up to date with the news and not miss videos from the channel, where there will be many more horror stories.